Hello there, guys. I just thought I'd jump on here today just to do a hopefully quick deck profile of just my Punk, Gold Pride, Kashtira, Psychic deck profile. I probably play this deck the most out of any deck that I own. It's been a kind of just a personal favorite. I just love the way it plays. Of course, maybe not the pay life points, but I just I just find it so fascinating, and it does kind of hurt me to see where when I try and find some online content for the deck, they're relatively outdated by like half a year, if not more. There's the odd, obviously. I think some of the WCSs over in the United States. I know Punk Beansmith was, hit or miss. It had a little few showings, but obviously since then we've had the ban list. Fiendsmith no longer. I mean, Punk can still play. There is a couple lines that I've seen you can still play. Personally, I do not play any Fiendsmith cards, so you'd probably be happy to hear that this has no Fiendsmith cards. I have tried them. They're okay, but I'm just not that type of player. So anyway, we'll start with the list. So I'm gonna go through the Punk cards first. If you want a combo tutorial, just leave a like, leave a comment. If there's any other requests you'd like, any other deck profiles, I'll see what I can cook up. This is hopefully a first of many. Hopefully I'll get better at these. So we'll start off with the Punk engine. This is probably what I think is probably the best ratio. There's a couple changes that I'll explain as we go through them. A couple of cards that you could optionally play if you don't have, and whatnot. So I play the 3 of the Xiamen, it's your main starter. This card, again, you could even, if you really wanted to, just play 2, but you want to see this card. Hopefully you don't know something, hopefully you get E-Telly, but in worst case, this is your guy. This is your starter. So you play 3 of the Xiamen, very basic, pay 600, add a Punk card other than itself. Great. Second card, we have the new Punk Rising Scale. I was waiting for this card for quite some time. I know some people just prefer 2, maybe 1 cards. I think just play 3. It is kind of bad if you don't have a way of sending like having a card in your hand or grave, especially when you're playing not pure Punk kind of thing. But I think for my current ratio, I think 3 is perfect. 1 Xiamen plus Rising Skill. That is your Psychic End Punisher right there. That's all you need. It does have an on-field effect as well, where if a monster with 2,500 or more attack activates effect, quick effects, you can change it to face down defense position, which can be pretty strong in today's Yu-Gi-Oh, where a lot of monsters do meet that criteria. For the next cards, I'm playing 2 of the Foxitoon and 2 of the Ogre Dance. Personally, I used to run 3 of this guy, but I used to see it a bit one too many times in my opening hand to eat, because this is a 60 card pile deck. I will say, just as a note, I kind of only have this belief where it's either 40, 42, or 60. There's no in between. So I used to play 3. I think 2's probably pretty solid. Ogre Dance, never really been too much of a fan, but I think purely for the sake of Rising Skill, unless you play like Foolish Burial or something, which sometimes I do put in, sometimes I don't. This current list does not have it, whereas Ogre Dance, it is a problem for draw, because obviously you would discard this card, add a Punk card other than a level 8, so you would add the Xiamen or whichever you need, and then obviously that opens you up for draw. But I think 2 is just 2 is good enough. You could maybe just go back down to 1 for Ogre Dance, but I think just for consistency wise of seeing Punk names, I think 2 is more than enough. I am not the best at picking these cards up, and I am sorry. For the rest of the Punk cards, you obviously just play the ones of an optional one, and I'm playing the Madam Spider. I know some people don't play it. And this is the last of the Punk deck. So we play the 1 Deer Note. Obviously, I don't think you need more than 1, never have. The Sharakusai is obviously your fusion. The Wygon is your Field Spell Searcher and the P.U.N.K is your Trap Searcher. I'm only playing the Trap in the Madam Spider because I'm currently side decking Imperms. If I was main decking, I probably wouldn't play this. But again, just to see a P.U.N.K name, you may as well, especially if you're just going to possibly end up going first. I think that's it for P.U.N.K cards. The Field Spell, if you didn't know, is a draw 2 every time you activate a psychic effect. The Gold Pride cards, again, I just don't see that. I see the point of, like, if you're paying life points, you may as well. It's literally free summons. Yes, they don't really have too much of a lock, except for Leon. But I just think for the value you're getting out of these guys, it's like pretty much an extra disruption, if not two. I think it's more than worth playing. And this is probably really the smallest you could play them, in my opinion. So I'm playing the 2 Leon. I feel like if you play 3, you just see it a bit one too many times. And it's not the best, because the only downside is obviously if you do go first and you open just Gold Pride cards and you have no way of reducing your life points, so if you don't see a P.U.N.K name, it's kind of not the best. So there's a couple ways that I do this. I play still 3 of the Captain Carry. I think I was trying to. I think 3 is alright. Again, it's a risky one, but it's a level 3, so that's all that matters. You play the 1 of the Nitro Head and the 1 of the Rollerballer. Most of the time, it would be Rollerballer if I was to pick one of these two. I don't play the Eliminator. I've tried it again with the Synchro. It's okay, but I just feel like it's just not the play. Maybe if you're playing the K9 cards, being a level 5, great, but I wasn't a fan. Nitro Head's good against some decks, not so much these days, but again, it's a level 8. Plus, obviously, if you do the Leon in your turn and bring back this guy, and then you just quick synchro into Pep on your opponent's turn, or if you really wanted to, Amazing Dragon, or the other new Psychic card. I am playing 2 of the Continuous Spell. I'm playing 2 mostly just in case I, open one already, and then I could at least activate the Captain Carries, Chariot Carries effect, sorry, not Captain, just to add the spell. And then obviously this is your draw 1 in the end phase as well. And then I am just playing the 1 of the Start Your Engines. Obviously only the 1 is needed just for how many you're playing. You're literally playing 7 cards, so most of the time you've already used 3, so you should be fine to resolve it, because you do need 3 in your deck to be able to resolve it. That is it for the Gold Prides. Onto the Kashtira stuff. I am just playing the 1 Fenrir, the 2 Unicorn, the 1 Birth, and the 1 Planet. Now, again, you can go bigger on the Kashtira cards and all this kind of stuff if you really want to, but I just do it as more of just a free body on the board, and it's just a free, like, a little bit of pressure. The Unicorn, rip a card from your opponent's deck. Fenrir, banish a card. Birth as well, this will come up a lot. Again, you could maybe go to 2 birds, you could even max out on the planet, but I don't see the need. I think for what it is, it's good. You play any more than 1 planet, at least for me, in my experience, I open 2 every time. I never see them on their own. It's just always together. And that is it for the Kashtira cards. I don't play like Shangri-La or anything like that. Next, we have the new Psychic support. So I'm playing, after quite a bit of testing, I think this is probably the best ratio, at least for me. I'm playing 2 of the main procedures. Again, you could play 3 because it is technically a starter if it's normal summoned or special summoned by a monster effect. You could pay 2,000 life points, grab a E-Tally. So you could play 3 if you really want to, but I find 2 is just good enough. I am only playing the 1 Serene Psychic Girl because, for the most part, you can get away with obviously summoning this guy, but I necessarily don't want this to be my starter. Mostly because obviously this locks you to Psychic monsters from the extra deck, so it kind of does shit off your P.U.N.K players, other than the Synchro and I think the Exceed, I can't remember. So I'm going to play the one of. I play the one Hushed Psychic Minister. This card, it's kind of like Psychic Wielder. You know, it's just a free buddy on the board, or Psychic Tracker, whichever you want to use. And then its engrave effects can be pretty strong, especially if you're on a second or something and you just want to, you know, eat something off the board. Just a little extra disruption. But now, I think that's a good little extender. Obviously, the 3 E-Telly, again, starter. So you play plenty of starters in this deck. I will say. If that's not good enough, if you do play against someone with Impalm or something, I am playing the 2 Parallel Teleport again. I was only playing the 1 because this is another card that locks you to Psychic from just your deck. You can't special summon, except Psychic. So Kashtira is kind of the reason I play them is because they are Psychics, funny enough, so you can get away with them. So this also does work on Kashtira cards as well. So you can just summon Unicorn, grab use this, tribute Unicorn, special summon Fenrir. You would lose no life points because the level's the same. You activate both, bring out Unicorn again, you know? So it can be pretty strong for that. For your P.U.N.K guys, obviously the more being level 3 than the level 8s and the 5s, for the most part, just the level 3s. Again, you wouldn't lose life points, so it's not often, and obviously this can do the extra deck too. So there's a couple of little cheeky plays you can do with this card. That's it for the Psychic support, and then just generic kind of cards that I've put in just to help with our players is Gold Sack. This is a must-have because you use this, banish the Mind Control. Mind Control has an effect where if it's banished, it can special summon itself by paying 1,000 life points, but then you can't use the, you know, other effect. It's like a one or the other. So this card just helps with that. Or if you really need to, you can send a Kashtira card. I'm playing the one Terraforming. Again, you don't need to play this. It was honestly just a filler, just to hit the 60 mark. There's a couple of cards I'll show you that you can swap some of these out for. To kind of hand traps, disruptions, I'm playing the 3 Droplet. It's, you know, it's just one of those, it is what it is. Can be good, especially for the Rising Scale, to have a Punk in the graveyard if you need. Other than that, everyone knows what this card is. Another card that I'm playing is the 2 Book of Eclipse. And just again, generic, you know, it's good going, I guess, first, going second. Here's what it is. And then the monkey cards, you got Call by Grave. It is what it is. I can't beat them all. A funny one that you'll probably question here is I am playing not Mask Change. I'm not playing Heroes here. Super Polymerization. Again, I don't know what's compelled me to play this. I just feel like playing Super Poly recently. I think a lot of decks kind of suffer from it, so I thought, why not? Because it can even work on our own cards, because they're all the exact same. Normal hand traps, playing obviously 3 Ash Blossom, just your generic, everyone plays it. The 3 will Charmy Foolos, kind of have to. If you're not playing these cards, you lose. Card that again, depending on what you're playing against and whatnot, you can change. But my last 4 hand traps of the deck is 2 draw, 2 Ghost Ogre. Now, a good thing with this deck, and I find it pretty cool, is with the Jam Dragon Drive, you can add Ghost Ogre to your hand from that effect, or even better, being a Psychic tuner, level 3, just normal summon this guy. You know, draw is draw. You could play Crossout. This deck, it does suffer from draw, but it's definitely with the new Psychic cards. It's not the best because it's also just summoning from deck or from grave or banishment. Again, another problem that we used to face back in the day was just playing against Kashtira. You know, anytime our cards get banished, it was kind of GG. But now we can actually play with our banished pile. So I find the deck's pretty good at playing through disruptions. You can at least play through like 3 or 4 and still have gas. But it can't beat everything. It's by no means meta. but it's certainly good enough to play locals, pick up plenty of wins, and do the job. And hey, if a better pilot out there can take this deck and just not have Beansmith and just, kind of something along these lines and just take this to like a regional and just top, that would make my day. Onto the extra deck, we are playing the one SP Little Knight, kind of just a generic link to just gotta play it, really. You can't drop it if you really want, but I just find sometimes you might need just that extra link. There's a couple little options you can pick out there. For the P.U.N.K cards, we'll start with them. I'm playing the 1 Jam Dragon Drive, that's all you need. Part of your combo. The new Jam Fever, you would more than likely overlay on top of this. If you do, you can have the 2 level hits and have 2 materials, because I don't often do the draw 1 effect. It's a monster negate this card. And that's only if you have a level 3 psychic monster in your grave. So that's that. You obviously have the fusion for your players. The 1 Amazing Dragon bounces back to hand. For the Gold Pride cards, I'm playing the 1 Rollerballer. Pretty strong card of certain matchups. The Chariot Carry, most of the time people try to imperm this, and then it's kind of a dead card on the field for the most part. Because obviously if they get negated, they are stuck on the field, they don't return back to the extra deck. If you're new to the Gold Parade cards, this is kind of how they work. All the extra deck monsters is during the end phase they'll bounce back to the extra deck and summon out their baby parts. Star Leon is obviously Leon, Chariot Carry, Captain Carry, and then the Gold Parade Pinballer is Rollerballer. Definitely, I think for the Synchro 6, I'm only playing it because there's a couple times where I find myself where I just have literally 2 level 3s, like the for Leon, and then I'm kind of like stuck with this. And so I threw it in just so I have a valid target. That's it for the Gold Bride and the P.U.N.K. And for the next bunch of cards, I'm playing the 1 Garura. I think this is probably, obviously you have Mud Dragon as well. They're the 2 kind of viable targets for this, but I think Garura is probably your strongest pick in this current format. Again, you could even make this on your own cards if you really wanted to. I am playing, this is a new one that I've added in, but I'm playing Sanapond, number 68, Sanapond the Sky Prism. So this is pretty much, it gains a 100 attack for each monster in the graves. So that's including your opponents, and then once per turn you can detach 1 material from this card, and then neither player can special summon from the grave until the end of the next turn. And then it cannot be destroyed by card effects when you activate this effect. So you activate that and it can't be destroyed. In its base stats is 2100, 2700. So I always summon this in defense. It is a rank 8. Certain matchups, especially like Yummy, for example, if you can set this up, pretty strong, because as far as I know, this is a lingering effect. So even if it leaves the field, it's, you still can't summon from the grave. Mitsurugi, another one, can't summon from grave. Blue Eyes, again, can't summon from grave. So this card is pretty strong right now. Again, a couple options you can swap this out for, depending on kind of what you play against. You could do like Hope Harbinger, Dingosu. There's plenty. Brand new level 8, level 11 Synchro. I don't know if I can pronounce his name. Juraishin, the Cursed Thundergod. This is pretty much your anti-lose life points card. So especially if you're playing into time. Obviously, we don't like the new time rules. We don't like time in general with this deck, because you pretty much always, especially in my experience, we would always lose. Whereas this card, obviously you don't often ever climb all the way back up there, but you pretty much you gain 300, you gain 300 life points for each time your opponent activates a card or effect and then when it resolves, you would gain the 300. But during your opponent's turn quick effect, you can pay 1,500. So this also contributes to your Punk Jam Dragon Jam session. Yeah. You can destroy all face-up monsters your opponent controls, or destroy all face-up spells and traps your opponent controls. So it's kind of like a lightning storm, but kind of better and worse at the same time. It's also 3,100 attack, so it does just beat over the 3,000 mark, which is pretty damn good. For Sinker 10, we are playing the Sword Soul Changing. So since we are banishing cards, it can be pretty strong. For each banished card, it gains 100 attack, and then your opponent's monsters that attack and defense. So again, if you can set this up on the board, we usually cast during one Punk monster. Pretty good. Everyone knows what that card does. The two new psychic cards, we have the Synchro 5 and the Synchro 9. I don't always play these, like play into these, but they are pretty much essential. Like, you can cut them, but I wouldn't recommend it, because the Synchro 5 you would obviously make with the Serene Psychic Girl, whatever she's called, and then if it's special summoned, so it's not even if it's Synchro, it's just if it's special summoned, you can target one level 4 low psychic monster in your grave or banishment. So this is how we help with our banishment pile, and special summon it, and it increases level by 1, so you would bring back the girl, make it a 3, no, or you would usually bring back the Mind Tracker, Mind Control, no, I'm messing up the names here, any level 3, make it a 4, synchro into this guy, because this guy can, even though he's a tuner by default, you can, if you're using it for a synchro material, you can treat it as a non-tuner. You'd make Psychic Blast Mark 2, which is 3,200 attack, 2,700 defense, and it's kind of one of those, you can't activate its first effect on the turn it's summoned, but for the most part, it's just during the main phase, quick effect, you can banish one monster from your grave, target one of the face-up monster on the field, so it can be yours or your opponent's, banish it, and then gain life points equal to that banished monster's original attack. So yeah, I find you kind of have to play those, but again, if you have other ideas, feel free. And our main star of the show is the Psychic and Punisher. Now, I am tempted to sometimes bump those up to 2 just for the laughs, and then obviously some matchups where I can just delete the cards. But for the most part, people don't expect it. Everyone knows the card. Everyone somewhat doesn't know how to read the card. They will go to extreme lengths trying to out the card and not realize that pretty much their only out is a kaiju or to crash into it. So yeah, and extra deck, take this with a grain of salt, because it all depends on your locals or just your area. So for my side deck, I'm playing the one Shanshan. So again, if you know a deck will struggle, put this guy in. I am playing the 2 Contact C's. Very strong in quite a fair amount of matchups, but again, it is just one of those cards. I am playing the 2 Imperm, so you would obviously swap this out for the amount of spider, or you can swap in other cards, whichever you please. I am personally not a fan of main decking Thrust or Talents, so I am currently siding the 1 Thrust, 1 Talents. I only own 1 Thrust at the minute, so this is kind of all I play. Another reason I do the Thrust to the Imperm. I'm also playing the Harpy's Feather Duster. We gotta have some back row check here. We are also playing the Mudragon just as a side, just because, some matches don't prefer the Garura. Some may like Mudragon, sorry. So I'm personally siding it. Again, you could probably just delete this if you're comfortable enough. We are siding the 2 Nibs. It's just one of those. And then here's some optional kind of cards where it's you could go more Hand Trap or whichever you please, but I went with 2 Ready Fusion and 1 Cherubin. So this is another technically kind of just way of just obviously starting your players. So you pay 1,000 life points. Is it 1,000? Yeah. To summon Cherubin, who is a level 3, just basic level 3, just to help have a level 3 on the board. and it obviously turns on your gold product monsters for reducing your life points. The other final card in the side deck that I'm playing, which is again, it's just kind of just a little boost if you're not seeing what you want to see. I am personally not a whole big fan of the card. However, the last card is the prototype Psychic Blaster. So for this card, it's better if you were playing like pure Punk and probably maybe a 40 card pile and a 60 card pile. It's just you discard this card, special summon one level 4 or lower psychic monster from your hand or banishment. So again, it sounds pretty easy to make, but a lot of the time you just don't see this plus an actual level 3 psychic monster. And if it's in the grave, so you can foolish this, you can pay 1,000 life points, banish one of the psychic monster from your grave, special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. So again, it's just one of those that like some people like playing this. I personally don't. So some other optional kind of cards you could include if you desire. You could play the Psychic Wielder or the Psychic Tracker, who I do not have on hand. It's just a extender for your level 3 players. Again, we are playing the Hushed Psychic Minister, so I don't often see the necessary to play this, but I'd probably pick the Wielder for the Synchro effect, of where if it's used for sync material, you can target one monster on the field with attack less than the Synchro monster and destroy it. So it can be good for that, I guess, but for the most part, no. Not too bothered. Another kind of similar card would be the Virtual World Nyan. So you would often, again, you would Foolish. You could play Foolish. I just didn't really find the value of playing it. Like, there was just like the one card you would send. Again, you could send this card and then just summon a, level 3. Another option would be the Speedroid Terratop and the Takatombug, but again, it all depends. The one thing I love about this Punk deck is you could switch up however you please. If you want to play Synchros, you play Synchros. You want to play Exceed monsters, you can play Exceed monsters. You want to play like the Goblins, for example, you can play Punk Goblin. Like, there's so much like you can do with this deck just as its own, and it's what I find quite fun about it. I did just do a premiere event today, and I did come first place, hence the mat. And the two cards I managed to eventually, one I packed and then one I just got off the trade, which I'll definitely probably include in this deck, is the Serene Psychic Sorceress, so she can replace your level 6 Synchro. And then there is the Axon Kicker Oracle, which there is the other fusion, and then there's the Teleport spell. I will start testing out with those because I've not done a whole lot with them. And yeah, but I would definitely include the Serene Psychic Sorceress. There's quite a good handful of other notable mentions that you could play, but I think for the current format, I think this list does well enough where it's still very consistent, very strong at going either first especially, or going second. We've cited a decent amount of hand traps. I don't own any Dominus cards, and I don't find in this deck that really work well. But for what it is, I think this list is pretty solid. So that will be all for this deck profile. If you guys want any more kind of videos on this or any combos, like I said, just leave a like, comment, share your thoughts, any improvements I could make. Please let me know. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.